Hello and welcome. You're watching UATV News with me, Ksenia Wuhai. 4 people were killed in the night of February the 3rd to 4th as a result of fire of medical equipment in a hospital treating COVID-19 patients in the city of Zaporizhzhya. Among victims, 3 patients and 1 health worker. The head doctor of the hospital suggested that the fire was caused by an explosion of the artificial lung ventilation apparatus. Meanwhile, the Prosecutor General of Ukraine, Irina Venediktova, informed that the victims were poisoned by carbon monoxide. The causes of the fire are being established. 5 people have already been interrogated. Investigative actions continue. An inspection of the scene is carried out with the involvement of the forensic laboratory of the main directorate of the National Police in Zaporizhzhya region, specialists from the expert service of the Zaporizhzhya Scientific Research Forensic Center of the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Ukraine and the State Emergency Service. Fire safety checks in senior care facilities. In the city of Kharkiv, rescuers have already checked 10 out of 40 retirement homes. Those are the ones that work officially. At the same time, with the aid of social networks, the inspectors discovered more than 80 institutions that operate privately. Are there any violations? Our correspondents found out.
First of all, inspectors pay attention to availability and functionality of fire extinguishers and fire hydrants.
Here we see a fire extinguisher when the maintenance was carried out. In autumn of 2020, we have a phone number. Please tell if this is a fire notification device. Yes. How does it operate? We call and tell what happened.
This is a state care facility for labor veterans. 270 people live here now. 100 of them cannot move independently. Miss Valentina has been living in the boarding house for 10 years. She says that training and fire safety control are held here every year.
Fire is an element which destroys everything. We have an alarm in every room. Our alarm is new, it works immediately, even if the mosquito flew in, so to say, it works.
The care center will be checked for 5 days. In general, it is safe here, firefighters say. But some violations have still been revealed. The basic requirements are met, but there is a big point of concern, namely plastic present in the hall. It should not be here. At the same time, we see that other ways of evacuation are without plastic, and there is a free exit. Nothing detains the movement, and the floor is not flammable. And this is a private retirement home. 22 pensioners live here. The institution has been working for 6 years. One won't find a signboard on it. All information is available via the internet. The managers themselves decided to address the rescuers with a request to help organize safe living conditions. Of course, I asked the representatives of the State Emergency Service of Ukraine to give recommendations. Well, we are not ideal, but I think we have a right to exist and work. People who cannot move should be transferred to the first floor. Besides, it is necessary to make the second exit on the second floor using a balcony and an external staircase, in order to be able to carry out safe evacuation from the second floor in case of emergency. There are more than 80 private senior care centers of a kind throughout the region. They will be examined and the results will be announced no later than February the 19th. Reported by Vadim Kramer and Natalia Bilokudria, UATV News.
To remind, the safety inspections in all Ukrainian hotels, hostels, sanatoriums and care facilities were initiated by the government after a fire in one of Kharkiv retirement homes on January 21st. The tragedy took lives of 15 pensioners. 20% premiums for work in difficult conditions. Medical workers in educational institutions will receive an increased salary. This is a decision of the government of Ukraine, which was announced during the meeting in January. Teachers' salaries have already been increased by 20%. The Cabinet of Ministers explained that school staff during a pandemic work in unfavorable conditions and risk their health.
Вже з 1 січня
Starting from January, the first doctors in schools, depending on the tariff category, are receiving a 20% increment. It will be in effect until the quarantine is cancelled. Educational institutions are places of responsible and difficult work for healthcare workers, and the state must support them during the corona crisis.
Quarantine in Ukraine will be extended until the end of April. This was stated by the Prime Minister of Ukraine. DONETSK noted that this is not a final term and it can be further prolonged. In addition, the head of government reminded that vaccination against COVID-19 is going to start in Ukraine this month. Meanwhile, 5,082 new cases of coronavirus were detected in Ukraine over the past day. At the same time, the number of those recovered is almost 2 times bigger, 9,933 people. Reloading of the grand privatization of the state enterprises. The Parliament has supported the bill on unblocking of the privatization auctions. Earlier, this process had to be suspended because of the quarantine. Members of the Ukrainian Parliament state selling of the large state-owned enterprises could additionally bring more than $420 million to the state budget. A year ago, the Parliament has approved a law temporarily suspending the conduction of the big privatization. In turn, in 2020, the small privatization has shown its efficiency in spite of the COVID-related problems. The state budget has additionally received almost $81 million. We have to unblock the big privatization. There is enough money in the world. All the key indexes show historic peaks, and only we're sitting here and waiting until all our enterprises, all our assets turn into metal junk. I have to remind you that the privatization money replenishes the state budget deficit. For the third time, Ukraine will elect a winner among businesswomen who are nominated for the Made by Women Award. It was founded in 2019 at the initiative of the Business Lady Committee of the Franco-Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Ukrainian ladies entrepreneurs can submit their business projects by March 15th. The award ceremony will take place on the 8th of July. The winner will receive $3,500 for business development. Ukraine became one of the first countries to join the Biarritz Partnership founded by the G7 members at the 2019 summit. This cooperation invites all states to start working to promote gender equality.
Ukraine was one of the first countries to join this project with great desire and great power of persuasion. I would like to thank Marina Bardina for the work she's doing in her position in the Ukrainian Parliament, and also note the great positive impulse provided to our work by Mrs. Olena Zelenska, the wife of the President of Ukraine.
We are working upon the issues of countering domestic violence in Ukrainian families, as well as issues of responsible parenting and motherhood. At the first reading, we passed the bill on paternity leave. Early in Ukraine, only a woman could take a maternity leave, and if she planned to stay at home until the child is 3 years old, then a man could do the same only when his wife or the mother of his child comes back to work and brings a certificate. Large-scale festivals, exhibitions, workshops and other cultural events are prepared by Ukrainian cities Mariupol and Slavutych. They have become winners of the grand program Culture Capitals of Ukraine. This year, 15 events covering different branches of culture will be held. Our correspondents know more.
Mayor of Mariupol Vadim Boychenko still cannot believe in winning the competition. He says that 5 years ago it was difficult to imagine that Mariupol would receive the status of the big cultural capital of Ukraine. As of today, we have already formed the strategic sense in which we believe, and it really demonstrates a different idea of Mariupol as a showcase of a really restored Ukrainian Donbas. Some time ago it was a dream, but today it has become our modern reality. The city of Slavutych has in turn got the status of the small cultural capital of Ukraine. The city is preparing to implement 4 large-scale projects. One of them is the Sesame Architectural Festival. It will be held for the first time in our country. Ukraine will host introduced Sesame for the first time on its territory. More than 250 young architects from around the world will hold various events in our city. It's more than 30 workshops, and we have interesting tasks for architects, and we want to get a big profit for the city, for its development. The Cultural Capitals of Ukraine program promotes and implements local cultural initiatives. The competition provides an opportunity for Ukrainian cities to establish partnerships with European cultural capitals and in the future gain the status of a European capital of culture.
It
is a status which for almost a year marks a city on the cultural map of the country, promotes the development of domestic and international tourism, and in some way focuses the attention of local authorities on the development of the cultural sphere of their city.
Next year, those and other Ukrainian cities will also compete for the status of cultural and reading capitals of Ukraine. Applicants should develop and submit to the Ukrainian Cultural Fund a package of events that they will be ready to hold. Reported by Vadim Kramer and Vlada Tsurkan, UATV News.
From now on, Ukraine has its own New York. The Parliamentary Committee supported the renaming of the Novgorodske town in Donetsk region. It happened so that New York really was its historical name. The MPs are going to approve the decision in the nearest future. The town itself is located in eastern Ukraine. It was founded by the Germans in 1892 and for 60 years had the name New York. But in 1951, the authorities of the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic changed the name to Novgorodske. That's all for now. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned. More updates on our official website, YouTube, and Facebook pages.